Save the last human.
Resogun has ridiculously simple gameplay that's insanely challenging to master. Based on the arcade hit Defender, players move their craft around large cylinder trying to take out the alien armada. Once keepers drop, destroying them will free a human. Your goal is to save the last humans, while trying to stay alive yourself. Each stage is broken up into 3 phases, ending with a boss fight. Rescuing the humans is essential if you want a high score, or if you plan to make it to the end of the stage. You see, when you defeat a keeper, a human is released from their cell, and you only have a limited of time to return the human back to base before an alien takes them out. Returning a human to the base nets you either points or an upgrade, such as an extra life or shield bonus, and that's why it's so important to save the last human. Chasing high scores is a large part of what makes this game so much fun, and the risk and reward system is always on your mind. If you activate a bomb, which clears the entire screen of enemies, you take a good chance of losing your score multiplier, since you need to continuously shoot down enemy ships in order to keep the multiplier going. So often bombs are only used as a last resort. The overdrive move is a special blast attack that consumes a tiny green meter located around your ship. As you defeat enemies, they explode into hundreds of tiny cubes, and if you collect enough of them, you'll fill your overdrive meter. The trade-off is that you can't control the length of the overdrive. In other words, once you activate it, it will continue until it's gone, and then you have to refill the meter. However, there's another move, the boost, which is far more important to master, as it uses a similar meter, although you can control the duration. While technically a defensive move used for when you're about to get overrun, when you get really good at the game, you can actually position the boost as an offensive move, because you see, once you stop boosting, it sort of sends out a small explosion. So a good technique is to boost right into oncoming enemies and watch as they all explode. Add extremely powerful bosses into the mix, especially in the later levels, and you have one of the very best arcade shooters released in a long time. There's always a constant risk and reward factor to each element of the gameplay. Do you sacrifice a human so you don't lose an extra life, or do you take the chance and perhaps get a weapon upgrade in the process? And things only get more intense when you add a co-op partner into the mix, which I highly recommend you all do. By using voxel, also known as 3D cubes, graphics, it gives the game its own unique look. When you destroy an enemy ship, it'll explode into millions of tiny cubes. On top of that, the particle effects are spectacular whenever enemy ships are firing at you, which is pretty much all the time. When you combine everything together, from the enemy ships exploding, to bombs being set off, to particle effects, to just everything, you're left with one of the nicest looking arcade games ever. The soundtrack is techno-infused and fits the setting perfectly. All the voice samples play out through the DualShock 4's internal microphone for a little extra flair. Ship explosions also sound great, and there's lots of bass for those with good surround sound systems. I also really like the fun trophy list. Can you rescue 2 humans within a second of one another? Can you kill 50 enemies using only 1 boost? I love when developers put time and effort into their trophies, because it gives you an incentive to actually, try and collect them. About the only negative thing I can say is that there are only 5 levels in the game and 3 different crafts you can use. The 3 ships play quite differently from one another in terms of the weapons they have available, but the limited levels will eventually start to feel similar to one another after a little while. Resogun is my favorite PlayStation 4 game on the market right now. When I purchased my PS4 at launch, Resogun, much like Contrast, was free for PlayStation Plus members. This is an outstanding game for free, and a great game for the asking price of $10. If you own a PlayStation 4, this is one you need to play. For the full written review, hit up projectcoe.com.
Armageddon. do.